Welcome to The Digital Footprint, a podcast for leaders in healthcare, public health, and education who are looking to leverage technology to solve problems and make a big impact. In each episode, we interview innovators and entrepreneurs who are solving the most challenging problems facing these industries. Join us as we dig into the colossal tasks involved in bringing a new digital product to life. Welcome to The Digital Footprint.
Hello, and welcome to The Digital Footprint. I'm Carlos Gonzalez, and this podcast is brought to you by Tyrannosaurus Tech, an award-winning technology partner dedicated to designing and developing high-impact software products. Today, our guest is Christian Zimmerman, co-founder of Qoins. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, Carlos? I'm good to be here. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay, to give our audience some background, in 60 seconds, can you tell us about some of your past experience and what you're up to right now at Qoins?
Yeah, definitely. So, Christian Zimmerman, co-founder and CEO of Qoins with a Q. Past experiences, so I went to Georgia State University, studied business management, worked at two other startups here in Atlanta, HireWire and ShiftGig, right after college. 6 months later, I quit, started Qoins, and what I'm up to now. And since then is, Qoins, which is a financial wellness platform. So we help consumers pay down debt faster and save money without thinking about it.
That's awesome.
I got the pitch down.
You got the pitch down, huh? Very cool, very cool. Well, at Tyrannosaurus Tech, we've become increasingly focused on products that really help people. And we all know debt, in particular student debt, has such broad implications in the education and mental health space. So that's one reason I was really excited to have you on as a guest and talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know that was very short, what Qoins is about. For folks that are not aware of Qoins at all, can you tell us about what you do and how you help people?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, financial wellness kind of is a broad term, but I started to really focus kind of, as you mentioned, my own personal pain point, which was student loans and credit card debt. So I had taken out some personal loans, which was really like the main problem. But what we do is we help people build better habits around paying down debt by automating not only like how you save throughout the month, but also storing it away and then actually sending a payment out on your behalf as an additional payment to your lender. So, in my example, I started because of my personal pain point, had a Wells Fargo credit card or personal loan that I had taken out to pay for tuition. Bad idea. And so I was trying to find something that would help me both help me save, but that also send a payment on my behalf to my lender, so I didn't have to think about it. So that's really where we come in and add value for the customer.
Love it. I think that's something that most people can actually relate to, and actually you and I met back in 2017, I think, when you spoke at one of our meetups. And
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, man. And as you were doing the presentation, like I remember, your idea just clicked. I was on board, I was sold. But, there's a big difference between having a great idea and actually going for it. So I wanted to ask you, what led you to launch a digital product?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to do my own thing. I had done other stuff in the past, had nothing to do with technology. But like I said, my friend, he got me into like the startup realm. And so I was like the 10th employee at this other startup. And so I quickly learned kind of the ins and out of like what to do, what not to do, and how just broad of a reach you could expand the impact that you wanted to make with technology. So I had no technical background per se, but I used to be like a computer geek, but I think I fell more in love with like business, and so finding a passion for the two kind of helped me want to kind of dive into this specific problem. And I always said if I was going to do something, it had to be something that I was passionate about. And so this I quickly grew a passion for. I'm really competitive. So like there was this pitch competition, and it kind of drove me to want to do it more and more. But I think you're absolutely right when you think about like a good idea versus actually executing on it. And I think those previous startups helped me kind of understand what the execution meant, all the do's and don'ts, and again, kind of like how hard it actually is.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would say, as all, founders know, launching a new product is really, really hard, and you need that level of commitment. You have to be resilient. You have to go at it, right? And that's definitely something that's really important for anyone that it's looking to launch a product. And over the years, like I've seen you, truly hustle, go at it, stay out there in social media, top of mind with people. So you've really done a great job, and probably stems from you really really being passionate about Qoins, which I know that not only you but your team that you've built, it's really passionate about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the team is really what makes it break it, right? I mean, I got it started, and I got started with my co-founder Nate, but finding other people that are just as passionate or just as driven for the cause, for the mission, and what you're trying to build, um, it's a really special thing, and it's obviously super humbling, especially when you think about you know people that you don't know or people that you're hiring, like, and then getting them to work on something that you've kind of had from inside your brain and now as a real product.
For sure. So building a digital product, super hard. There's tons of challenges that come with it. What do you find to be the hardest part of building out and launching Qoins as a
So
technology?
yeah, as a technology, I think the biggest pieces that we found as hurdles was so we fall under the financial technology space. So there's technology, and then there's financial technology, which has to do everything with banking and compliance. And so we quickly ran into like compliance and regulatory issues. Well, not issues, but hurdles that we knew we had to get over. And I would say that was probably some of the most difficult pieces. Even today, just understanding what you can and can't do, understanding the implications of what something you do can have on your customers, and then also just kind of having like a down the line hinds or a foresight of like what could happen if you do these changes now. So I would say like just understanding that industry, I had to kind of surround myself with people that had been in it versus me just going in it kind of like blindly.
And you yourself, you're not technical, right? Like you have maybe experience with technology, but when it comes to building it, I think it's fair to say you were a newbie going into this, right? In terms of building a new application. What were like some of the learnings that you've had, along your journey when it comes to building the product?
So when it comes to building the product, I think the biggest thing is understanding like that what you can and can't do. So like I knew I was more business mindset versus technology mindset. So finding complementary skill set that works with me, and so that's obviously my co-founder Nate. Um, but also just understanding, even if you don't aren't technically minded, understanding the components at least to at least communicate with someone that is building what it should look like. And so I didn't really know half the terminologies that I know now, but I knew like the tools and the pieces to get something off the ground. And so that's kind of like what got me there. And then over time, you know, I I always tell people I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to like self-educate myself. So if it's something I don't understand, I want to know it. Especially in the technology piece, like what are the acronyms? What is the meanings? What is like latency? Like how does this impact my product? I think that is kind of what I think about when I think about technology.
Great. So yeah, when it comes to all of that, tech lingo, terminology, acronyms, how do you go about, learning what you have to learn? Like, is it Are you reading books? Are you looking for blog posts? Are you relying more on your, co-founder who is more technical? How do you go about educating yourself and making sure that, you understand all of those moving pieces?
I think it's a mix of all three. So, I work with Nate every day, so like I can ask him these questions. Sometimes I feel like they're dumb questions because, I'm not in that realm, um, but for my own personal satisfaction, I need to know these things. But yeah, I love reading books. Like I try to read as many books as I can, um, both on like the just personal development, but also technology and just startup realm in general, um, and then blogs too. I think what I try to look for is I'm a very like big picture type of person, so uh, I don't like to get necessarily into the super granular things, but understanding like high level, how do all these technological components kind of work with one another? And so that is what I try to educate myself. Like especially right now, like we're in the process of like trying to come out with our own card, like a Coins card, and so there's just a whole different kind of beast that we have to kind of adhere to from a compliance standpoint and understand like how they all work and function with one another. So that's kind of an ongoing, like I'm just learning, reading as much as I can, understanding, from people that have been there, what they've done.
That makes sense. And you've mentioned Nate, a few times. I know Nate. I love Nate. Nate is awesome. Um, so Nate Washington is Christian's, technical co-founder and CTO. And you all been going at it since the beginning, right?
Yeah, so I had initially come up with the idea, but that's about as far as I got it. It's like kind of as I mentioned, like understanding complementary skill sets. He and I met at like a networking event. We both went to Georgia State, but he and I met at a networking event, and he actually just happened to like just jump into the conversation I was with someone else, and he and I just hit off really well. And then from there, we kind of started doing like cross due diligence on each other. Like, do you know what you're talking about? Or are you just trying to sell me on something, and vice versa? And so he had actually started his own companies before and was not trying to get into a business, but I was somehow able to convince him to come work with me. So yeah.
That's awesome. There's a lot of people that have, great ideas, but they are not technical. And I think that a lot of times they get stuck on, I deciding if they need to find a technical co-founder or if they should work with an agency like Tyrannosaurus Tech to help them with that expertise. In your experience, like how helpful has it been having that technical co-founder alongside, helping you navigate the waters?
Extremely helpful. I almost went with just an agency to start out with, but one of the things that I learned at a previous startup was they had done the same thing. Well, it was like more offshore development, but they didn't have anybody in-house. So I think the product management and the ability to communicate what the output was going to look like from a technical, terminology standpoint was not there. So having someone to be able to do that, I think, is very important. But if you can do that all in-house, that's even 10 times better because you can just communicate with one another. So with Nate, yeah, it was extremely helpful from an agency to like internal build out perspective. You know, I used to say that, it's you should do everything in-house. Uh, but one, now that I've kind of educated myself more and, also have Nate, with me, I think, and with COVID, I think the agency side or the offshore is such a great opportunity to work and comparable to like hiring, a whole bunch of people in-house just because I think the hybrid model is going to be just blow up now. I think it's going to go, really, really far.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that, different products, different companies have, ever evolving technical needs. So, complementing your team with an additional team that brings either more capacity for execution or other skills that sometimes you don't have in house, I think is definitely key to be successful a lot of times or to scale past a certain point.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's a great point. So we've talked about, some of the challenges of building a digital product, having a co-founder that's technical and how that has helped you. But then, you've grown past the point where, needed to raise capital, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about, raising capital and what that is like?
Yeah, that's a job in itself that I'm like forever learning. Um, so like, we just raised $1.5 million, and that was very
Congrats.
exciting. This is our second time raising. Well, I think the biggest thing I've learned is understanding who you're communicating with. So like every VC, every angel investor like has a specific thing that they're looking for. Like what is that specific number or specific metric that they're looking for? They're all looking to make money, obviously. But some may be more like interested in you as a founder. Others may be more interested in your business model, or some may be more interested in like your potential. So understanding that I think is very important. Otherwise, you're not gonna appease or entice that person to want to invest. Um, so I think that's been one of the biggest findings. I think the second biggest thing that I've learned is that you can waste a lot of time trying to talk to the wrong type of investor, depending on the stage you are in your business. Um, and then again, understanding what message it is that you need to be conveying. So what I did this time around was it's always been like me talking, me talking, me talking, me selling. And I think you have to be able to do that, but you also have to be at the end of the day, like they are investing in you, but they're investing you to execute on this business model that you've built, right? And so this time around, COVID made it very difficult, obviously, to meet in person. I love meeting people in person because I think I can kind of exude my energy. Like I think I have good energy, but yeah, I can't do that. It's kind of hard to do it, over a video call. So I had to kind of just practice how to like showcase, facial expressions and things like that, but then also understand when I get off this conversation, what is it they're going to look at? And so numbers, letting numbers speak for me, letting numbers speak for themselves is kind of what I kind of learned from this last raise. Um, how does that potential excite an investor? That word FOMO, where do they think that they could be missing out on? So there's a lot of different tactics of doing that, and I don't think I would say like I'm the best at fundraising. I don't think like I've definitely done it, and people ask me, "Oh, how do you do it?" But I think it works out for different people. There's definitely a small base that you kind of work with or foundation, but from aside from that, I think there's a lot of different ways of attracting the right investor.
Gotcha. All right, cool. What advice would you give to someone who finds themselves in your shoes looking to build their first digital product?
You have to get your hands dirty. Like I think everyone wants to be able to like just pay someone to do something, or oh, if I have so and so or tools that everything would be easier. Um, but when you're building a technological product, a lot of it stems from a very manual process that you're trying to solve. In order to get to a more like automated solution, you kind of have to be that manual solution first to identify how to solve that automation piece. So I always tell people is like you got to get your hands dirty. You got to try to literally do every part of your business and understand where the bottlenecks are. Otherwise, you can't build this solution. Like this only solves what needs to be solved versus just going out and building something because you think it's something that needs to be solved.
That's great advice. Financial education has become a big part of what you all do at Qoins, right? Can you tell us a bit about how it is helping the overall business growth?
Our whole mission has always been around like how do we help build a better financial stability for consumers in like specific communities so that they have better opportunities for the future. Um, and I think the fact that we've been able to really focus in on that, especially during times of like a pandemic, where flashy like investing or things like that are more popular, and we've tried to double down on, hey, paying off debt is going to be a big problem. It is a big problem. How do we help you solve this problem so that you can do these things? Has helped our growth and just our overall business kind of continued to grow during times where a lot of businesses, unfortunately have been going out of business. And it's not to say that it's their fault or anything, it's just crazy times. But yeah, I mean, I think we just learned that we had to double down. We've paid off over $16 million nationwide now in consumer debt through our platform. On any given month, we're pushing, I think, $1 million worth of volume. So it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. I think the pandemic kind of humbled us and gave us just kind of the insights that we needed, to kind of buckle up and figure things out and figure out, all right, this is what we want to. We're actually in a good position whereas we thought, things were gonna, when they were tight, but what can we do to, hunker down, work as a team and get through it?
Another another thing that is super relevant, and I wanted to discuss today, um, particularly in the public health space, when we think about Qoins, when we hear your pitch, I think people would quickly, might put it in this box of, fintech, for example. But they, maybe they're not thinking about, yeah, the broader public health implications, and education as well. But student debt has been increasing sharply in the United States over the last few years. Recent, public health studies even show that student debt can affect stress levels, sleep, and lead to depression. In what ways do you see coins impacting positively, users' mental health?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think one of the things we found was that um, revolving debt as a whole, not just student loans, um, is one of the largest stressors, on someone, uh, finances, period. And then to account that with a pandemic is even worse. So what we've done is, during the pandemic and even now, we actually brought on certified financial coaches that you can actually meet with to help kind of build a foundational plan, where you are now and where you're trying to get to. And this was like a free, like 15-30 minute consultation that we would give out. And then from there, obviously, we hoped that we would be able to, retain those customers as paying customers. But that was one of the things that we started doing. The other thing that we did was we identified ourselves as in a good place to work with other partners that had complementary um, missions, but also like avenues that we thought tied in really well with paying down debt, which was, how do you get a job? Like what are the things that you can be doing to make income? And so we had partnered up with like ride sharing platforms to figure out ways to help you make monetize, the car that's sitting outside, or if you're stuck inside, like ways to generate more income. Um, and then the biggest piece is like just helping people identify like hacks or just quick tips on like things you can be doing today that can help you financially. And so we do videos like every week. We're starting to push out even more content, and that's all free. That's stuff that like I try to be in as much as I can because I've made those mistakes. I've been stressed out. Like I'm buying a house now. Like I'm getting married. Like these are all things that everyone will probably go through in their lives, so it's very stressful. And so just trying to be kind of a champion for those customers and consumers that have been there or are going to be there, saying that, hey, I'm building a business, but at the same time I've been there, I've made those mistakes. I'm not here to say that you know I'm better, I've done it all. I haven't, right? I'm literally growing with you as a customer. So what can I do to share my insights?
Gotcha, gotcha. And yeah, I think that's awesome. It is all part of this bigger, positive, mission that you all have, and it's really great. Do you get to talk to your customers frequently? And have you witnessed any uh, positive outcomes from people that you can share?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so we're actually like in a big revamp for our product right now, and so we did about 5 to 10 different like customer interviews where like we sat in, had like an hour long call with customers and just figured out like where can we help, where are like bottlenecks, where are things that you like, and it's just kind of testimonials for those that really liked it. Um, yeah, so we had one family. I'll give you two examples. We had to give you kind of both sides. On one side of the spectrum, we have like a doctor who is already out of medical school, has $100,000+ worth of like student loans. He's been using our product like ridiculously, and he's paid off over, I want to say, like $7,000 to $10,000 already with our platform. And he's doing it like not even thinking about it, right? I think he has multiple link payments, which is obviously very exciting to know that we're able to help that type of customer. And then on the flip side, we have, uh, a single mom who I think she's paid off like $3,000, $3 or $4,000, and she was just trying to, she had income. It wasn't she didn't have any income, but she was looking for ways to kind of automate it so that she didn't have to do more work for herself, and so that we were able to help her out with that. And then on top of that, during the pandemic, she had, I think, believe, lost one of her jobs, and so we were able to connect her with our coach, who was then able to give her kind of resources on where to be looking for new jobs and where to be applying for, like, additional government support. So she like came back and reached out, said she was super thankful for it. And so those type of things, is what drives me more than anything else, is knowing that these are people that I probably will never meet, but knowing that I'm able to make a positive impact, is truly amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like we said earlier, it's that thing that drives you, that keeps you going. Because it's pretty tough to launch your company, run it, scale it. So having that North Star definitely helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you see as the biggest trends and shifts coming in your space, and what role do you think technology will play?
I think we're starting to see like a consolidation of all these different personal finance products trying to kind of become one product. I think it's a good and bad thing. More so good because a lot of customers have like 10 different apps for 10 different things within personal finance. And so being able to consolidate so you only have one place or a couple places where you're able to view all insights of your finances is, I think, much better for the consumer. Um, and on the flip side, I think you're starting to see a lot of the bigger companies trying to do this at a much faster pace, or kind of taking down smaller incumbents. So I think that's kind of the bad piece. It's a good and bad thing. I think opportunity for acquisition, uh, but yeah, I mean, I think that if specifically within personal finance, and I think if we go even more in depth with paying down debt, uh, government support has definitely been there over the last year. But I think that there's going to be a much bigger emphasis around that topic versus just investing, because I hope things get better, but I think from a financial standpoint, things probably will get worse before they get better.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Um, there's a lot going on right now, a lot of shifting happening for sure.
Hmm.
So we will need to see what happens when the dust settles.
Right. Yeah.
I think it looks like, we're just coming about out of time. Thank you so much, Christian. This was great. Before we sign off, where can listeners go to connect with you and learn more about your company?
So yeah, if you wanna connect, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We do a lot of videos there now. But Christian at Qoins is TikTok, and then from Instagram, Coin, or all social media, it's Qoins at Qoins app, and then our website is Qoins.com. So Qoins.com. We got our .com domain end of last year, so we're excited about that finally. But yeah, that's where you can find us.
Sounds great. Thanks again. It's been great having you on the Digital Footprint.
Thank you, Carlos. Gracias, mano.
Gracias.
Thank you for listening to The Digital Footprint. This show is brought to you by Tyrannosaurus Tech, an award-winning technology partner dedicated to designing and developing high-impact software products. If you like what you heard in this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For show notes and access to all episodes, please visit tyrannosaurustech.com/blog. Digital footprint.